I'm Alan Gaskell and welcome tonight to SBS Television's Harness Racing Special. Tonight we're about to take you live to Moonee Valley in Melbourne for our coverage of the 1990 Victoria Pacing Cup. Well, this race is one of the most prestigious on the Australian pacing circuit and in fact is a grand circuit race. The Victoria Cup, or as it's been known in the past, the A.G. Hunter Cup or the Winfield Pacing Cup, has brought together the cream of pacing talent from both Australia and New Zealand. Tonight, 8 Australians and 3 New Zealanders vying for prize money of $250,000. Tonight's race also takes on added significance as these horses are vying for a place in the prestigious Inter-Dominion Pacing Championships, which begin in 2 weeks' time at the Globe Derby track in Adelaide. The weather in Melbourne tonight is fine, the track is hard and fast, and I'm sure we're about to see a very exciting Victorian Pacing Cup. Let's take a look at the starters in tonight's big race. Number 1 from New Zealand is Reba Lord, driven by Barry Purden. 2, Empire Fella from Victoria. Number 3 is Bold Sharvid, another New Zealander. Number 4, Sovereign Cloud, representing Queensland. Number 5 is Almita Boy from Victoria. Number 6 from Tasmania, Karalta Bay. Number 7, Earth Station from Queensland. Number 8, Kylie's Hero is another New Zealander. And then to the second row, number 9, Westburn Grant, representing New South Wales. Number 10, Quite Famous Victoria. And from New South Wales, although owned in Tasmania, is number 11, Thorate. Well, betting on tonight's Victoria Cup has been stifled by Westburn Grant. He's at $1.90 on the Victorian tote for every dollar invested, and he's really stifled betting on tonight's big race. Just quickly going through some of those Victorian totes. Number 1, Reba Lord, the New Zealander, is at 18 to 1. Number 2, Empire Fella, is at also 18 to 1. Number 3, Bold Sharvid, another Kiwi, is at 62 to 1 on the Victorian tote just a few moments ago. Number 4, Sovereign Cloud, is 33 to 1. Sovereign Cloud, one of the 2 Queenslanders in the field. Number 5, Almita Boy from the very strong Vin Knight stable, has been solidly backed, and of course a lot of hometown support for Almita Boy. He should probably be one of the very big stumbling blocks to Westburn Grant, I think, and he is currently about $2.80 for $1 to win on the Victorian tote. Number 6, Karalta Bay, is at 94 to 1 any old price, the Tasmanian. Number 7, Earth Station from Queensland, 144 to 1. He's the outsider of tonight's Victoria Cup field. Number 8, Kylie's Hero. He's a very good New Zealand horse. He was 3rd in this race last year to Sinbad Bay, but he's at around 22 to 1 on the Victorian tote at the moment. Westburn Grant, as I say, has stifled betting. Odds on $1.90 for every dollar for a win. Number 10, Quite Famous, about 28 to 1. And number 11, Thorate, a very good Tasmanian-owned New South Wales trained horse to be driven by Brian Hancock, and he is around the good odds of 15 to 1. So you can see just that Westburn Grant has stifled betting completely on tonight's Victoria Cup. The horse to watch, of course, is Westburn Grant. If you were watching SBS television last November, you would have seen him brilliantly win the Miracle Mile at Sydney's Harold Park Racecourse in a very quick time. He's had 25 lifetime starts. He's been beaten only 3 times. He had a shock failure in the Benson and Hedges race across at Perth at Gloucester Park about 4 or 5 weeks back, but he's fresh from a very, very good win in the South Australia Cup at Adelaide's Globe Derby Park a couple of weeks ago. He's all the rage, but of course, tonight he's drawn 9, which is the second row, and that just could be a hindrance to Westburn Grant's chances, but he's an excellent racehorse, and as you can see, the Victorians have even rallied right around him. He's paying $1.90 on the tote. He, of course, is fast becoming Australia's latest millionaire pacer. His stake money now around the $780,000 mark, and if he manages to win the Victoria Pacing Cup tonight, well, his prize money will probably go over the $900,000 mark. We're just looking at the pictures we're getting from Moonee Valley. The horses are sort of lining up, not quite yet though, for a start. The distance is 2,380 metres. Just watch the start, because as they power away from the mobile barrier, Westburn Grant, always a very quick beginner, unfortunately tonight has to start from the second row. So his fate will probably be, if my estimation is correct, will be determined by the start that number 1, Reba Lord, the Kiwi, does from gate 1. There are 3 New Zealanders in the field tonight. Reba Lord is a very, very good horse. Kylie's Hero, another one, of course. He was 3rd in the race last year. And although trained in New Zealand, number 3, Bold Sharvid, was actually born in North America. So there's a little bit of an international flavour to the three Kiwis in the field tonight. But $1.90 on the tote in Victoria. I know in New South Wales he's even shorter than that, because most of the New South Wales people watching will have gone down to their local TAB and certainly back Westburn Grant. He's a very exciting horse. He's just had that one failure, as I said, the shock failure when he was beaten about 4 weeks ago in Perth. Vic Frost, his trainer, said that he thought the horse might have choked down when he was restraining the horse in the early part of the race. But of course he's proved that Perth failure wrong by coming out again and defeating a very strong field in the South Australia Cup at Globe Derby Park a couple of weeks ago. He is the horse to beat if he can get a clear run. The handicap for him tonight will be that number 9 barrier draw. Well, the horse is just about ready now behind the mobile barrier. I think we can take you to Moonee Valley in Melbourne, and it's my pleasure to bid a very good evening to our caller on the SBS television network around Australia. Here's Brian Markovic.
Alan Gaskell, good evening, and viewers through SBS TV, a warm welcome. Welcome to Moonee Valley here in Melbourne for the running of the Diabetes Australia Victoria Cup, a race of $250,000. The favourite is Westburn Grant, number 9. He carries the white with the black stars. He's drawn inside the second row, and the solid second pick in the market is 5 All Meter Boy. Of course, he carries the night colours, the yellow with the red Maltese cross. And what a race about to get underway. Ladies and gentlemen, runners are now being called up for a start for race 4, the Diabetes Australia Victoria Cup. Delightful conditions, temperature around about the 20-degree mark, and a crowd between 12 and 15,000 here at Moonee Valley, and the race about to get underway. Mobile barrier now on its way for race 4, over 2,380 metres. Reba Lord about to move up to 1 Empire Fella. Next door comes along with Bold Sharvard, Sovereign Cloud. All Meter Boy coming along now with Corralta Bay, Earth Station, and Kylie's Hero. They're all set. Reba Lord back in 1. They're set. Green lights on, they're racing. All Meter Boy has broken at the start. He's hopped out of his gear. All Meter Boy, he's nearly down. He drops out to the tail, taking no part in the race. Away quickly, Bold Sharvard leads early from on the outside, Earth Station. In behind them, Corralta Bay, followed by Reba Lord the Rail. Quite Famous pulling out 3 wide, approaching the turn the first time he's going forward. Westburn Grant settles down third last of the main pack. In front of him, Sovereign Cloud, Empire Fella. Behind him, Kylie's Hero and Thorate. And 60 metres away, All Meter Boy. Quite Famous on the outsiders, looking for the lead down the straight the first time, and he gets there. Quite Famous in front now by 5 metres to Bold Sharvard. Third, Reba Lord, caught without cover, Earth Station. Corralta Bay works up to the 1 by 1, followed by Empire Fella. Then Sovereign Cloud the outside. 4 metres to Westburn Grant, 4-8 trailing him as they leave the straight. Kylie's Hero second last, and tagging up as All Meter Boy at the lap and 3/4. Quite Famous in front. Sovereign Cloud from midfield is now pulling out 3 wide. On the leaders back and racing second, Bold Sharvard. In behind them, Reba Lord. Earth Station the outside from Corralta Bay as Westburn Grant now pulls to the outside. At the lap and a half mark, the runs are coming. All Meter Boy is trailing him. Westburn Grant zooming around the outside. He draws up to Quite Famous. He looks for the lead now. Vic Frost on Westburn Grant. At the lap and a quarter, he draws 2 metres in front of Quite Famous, but he can't cross. Quite Famous keeps out Westburn Grant. All Meter Boy, he gets to 5th now. He's racing 3 wide. Bold Sharvard, the leaders back in the centre, Sovereign Cloud. Earth Station now pulls out 3 wide, trailed up in turn by Thorate. Reba Lord bailed away on the rail, followed by Empire Fella, Corralta Bay, and Kylie's Hero last. They've jammed up down the straight with a lap to go. Quite Famous at the 850 ahead in front of Westburn Grant, and All Meter Boy out 3 wide. Then Bold Sharvard, the leaders back in the centre, Sovereign Cloud. Earth Station 3 wide on the back of All Meter Boy. Reba Lord 3 back on the rail. In the centre is Corralta Bay. Thorate second last and 3 wide on the back of Earth Station. Second last Empire Fella, and Kylie's Hero last. Down the back at the 500, Quite Famous ahead in front of Westburn Grant. All Meter Boy, he's under pressure out 3 wide, peeling off his back in turn is Earth Station, and now here is Thorate. Thorate out 5 wide, making ground. Westburn Grant got to the lead, 350 out, Quite Famous gone. Thorate the danger, coming out after Westburn Grant before the turn of the 250. Sovereign Cloud gets to 3rd. Then Corralta Bay, Kylie's Hero running home, followed by Reba Lord. At the 200, Westburn Grant ahead in front. Thorate running a race on the outside, and here is Reba Lord on the outside. Westburn Grant in front. Thorate is picking it up with Reba Lord on the outside. Thorate put his nose in front. Sovereign Cloud has got the run near the line. Sovereign Cloud put his nose in front, and Sovereign Cloud has gone up and won narrowly. Maybe Thorate second, Reba Lord third, close up Westburn Grant. Then Bold Sharvard, Kylie's Hero. Empire Fella in behind them, followed a long way back by Quite Famous, then All Meter Boy, Earth Station, and Corral de Bayers last. The judges call for the photo, ladies and gentlemen, on the Diabetes Australia Victoria Cup to separate Sovereign Cloud, number 4, along with 11 Thorate, 1 Reba Lord, and close up in the race, Westburn Grant, number 9. The judges call for the photo on the Diabetes Australia Victoria Cup. Just as Thorate looked like beating Westburn Grant, Reba Lord joined in, and Sovereign Cloud, one off the fence, has gained the split between Westburn Grant and Thorate to put its nose in front, only about 50 metres off the line, and it may have got there. The judges call for the photo on race 4, the Diabetes Australia Victoria Cup, and the action was on from the outset with All Meter Boy breaking, and the runs came thick and fast. Quite Famous tackling the leader, Westburn Grant taking off at about the lap and 3/4 mark, and the judges call for the photo on race 4, the Diabetes Australia Victoria Cup. A tremendous finish and a race that had patrons on their toes from the outset. Stand by for the placings on race 4. Well, what a race. You'd have to go a long way to see a race with as much action. After the photo, number 4, the winner, Sovereign Cloud, driven by B. Connolly. Number 4, Sovereign Cloud, B. Connolly first. 11 has run second, Thorate, B. Hancock. And number 1, third, Reba Lord, B. Purdon. There are the numbers, 4, 11, 1. 4th in, 9, Westburn Grant. 5th in, number 3, Bold Sharvard. Number 4, Sovereign Cloud, driven by B. Connolly first, over here from Queensland. 2nd, 11, Thorate, B. Hancock. And 3rd, number 1, Reba Lord, B. Purdon. Well, what an action-packed race it was, race number 4. You saw the action live on SBS. Westburn Grant, he got to the leader, Quite Famous, at the 350. In turn, Thorate came out after Westburn Grant. They were setting shots for something to come from behind. It looked like Reba Lord, but then Sovereign Cloud has got the run, one off the fence, and this fellow who has been taking all before him at Albion Park has got up to win narrowly after only poking his nose in front about 50 metres off the line. And there are the placings, 4, 11, 1, Sovereign Cloud by Under a Cloud from Swift Cindy, a bay horse 6, the winner, raced by DB Whitehead and DL Gibbs, trained and driven by B. Connolly from Jimboomba. Second placing to 11, Thorate by King Kalani from Lisa's Storm, a bay horse 7, B. Hancock. And third, number 1, Reba Lord, B. Purdon, the driver. And Reba Lord is a bay horse 5 by Lordship from Alberfeldy, and B. Purdon is the driver. 4, 11, 1, that is the Diabetes Australia Victoria Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner returning, Sovereign Cloud, driven by B. Connolly. Margins are ahead by a head. Gross time 255.9. Mile rate of 158.9. Last half in 57.7. And the last mile in 157.2. On the tote, approximately 4 Sovereign Cloud, about 25.50 and 3.60. 11 Thorate, about 2.30. And number 1 Reba Lord, about $3.20. The Quinella, $138.90. The trifecta, $3,033.90. And the running double, $156.20. There is the winner, Sovereign Cloud, returning after winning a thrilling Diabetes Australia Victoria Cup. I certainly hope you enjoyed the broadcast of this year's thrilling Victoria Cup here on SBS. It's been my pleasure bringing it to you. We'll return back to the studio and Alan Gaskell.
Thank you very much, Brian. A tremendous call, a superb call, and what a result. You can't beat those Queenslanders. A real boil-over in the Victoria Cup. Poor old Westburn Grant, as we said before the race, had absolutely no luck in the running, 3 out most of the way, just as when he looked as if he was going to possibly bring off that win. Of course, they just came at him in the last 50 or 60 metres. Just quickly going through those placings again in the Victoria Cup for 1990. A win to Sovereign Cloud. He's a great old horse. He's won 4 on the trot now, beating Thorate and, of course, Reba Lord. Well, I do hope you've enjoyed the call. I do hope you've enjoyed our coverage on SBS Nationwide Television. Let's leave you tonight with another look at the closing stages and, of course, some of the action from the big race from Moonee Valley. Alan Gaskell wishing you all a very good evening.